Hello students, this is your English lesson. In this lesson we are going to read unit number 7, Uncle Shams from Oxford Modern English 5. This is a play. So first of all, words to know, then I'll tell you about the characters in the play. Words to know: aptitudes, skills, talents, abilities, beautify, to make beautiful, budget, a financial plan, one's accounts, catastrophe, a disaster, an accident, crestfallen, dejected, disappointed, device, to walk out, to plan or invent, disaster zone, an area where a tragedy or a series of unpleasant incidents takes place. Eccentricities, peculiarities, strange or odd ways of behaving. Grace, to make a pleasing contribution to an event. Intolerable, unbearable, very unpleasant or annoying. Inundated, to be flooded, to be filled with a huge quantity of things, whatnot, something of the same or a similar kind. Characters in the play: Mr. Malik, Mrs. Malik, Walkman, Uncle Shams, Postman, Samina. The scene takes place in the living room of Mr. and Mrs. Malik's house. A door on the left leads to the hall and other on the right leads to the bedrooms. There is a window on the back wall. To the left, there is a sofa slightly to the right of the stage and at an angle, with its back towards the hall door and the window. There are some other chairs and small coffee tables arranged on the right. Mr. and Mrs. Malik are standing in the middle of the room. A man is trying to put up a picture on the wall at the back. He has a stepladder and a box full of tools. Mr. Malik: now don't make a mess and make sure the picture is hanging straight. Mrs. Malik: yes, and if you do make a mess, you will have to clear it up. We have enough to do already. Our daughter is getting married next month, so the place must look beautiful. Mr. Malik: yes, we shall be inundated with visitors. Walkman: there is no need to worry, madam. Sir, I am putting up pictures every week. No problem. Always very clean walk. Mr. Malik: we shall see, but make sure the picture is straight. Walkman: it will be straight, sir. Very straight. 110%. Mrs. Malik: 100% and 180 degrees and horizontal will be fine. Walkman: degrees, madam? I have no degree, madam. And fine. I will get a fine. Mr. Malik: no, it's all right. It's all good. Just get on with the work, man. Man to his wife: Saima, don't confuse him with your talk of degrees and horizontal and fine and whatnot. Let him do his work. The doorbell rings. Mrs. Malik hurries out. She returns with a jolly man wearing glasses and carrying a suitcase. Uncle Shams: hello, old man. How are you? Mr. Malik: why, hello, Uncle Shams. How good to see you. What brings you here? Uncle Shams: did you not get my letter? I wrote last week. I have come to grace Samina's wedding with my presence. He bows theatrically. Mrs. Malik: but uncle, the wedding is not till next month. Uncle Shams: not to worry, I shall help with the preparations. Everything will be just fine. The workman, who is now up the step ladder, drops the hammer and gives Uncle Shams a nervous look. Mr. Malik to the workman: be careful, man. That's a marble floor you are trying to crack. Uncle Shams, putting down his suitcase and going towards the workman: I see you are trying to put up a picture to beautify the place. You see, my aptitudes will come in useful over the next month. Let me assist you with that. I am something of an expert when it comes to hanging pictures. He takes the hammer from the Walkman and climbs the ladder. Now hand me that nail. Come on, man. We don't have all day. The Walkman is too stern to say anything and does as he is told. Uncle Shams starts banging the nail into the wall. A large crack appears. Then the ladder wobbles and he comes crashing down. The hammer makes a loud sound as it hits the floor. Mrs. Mulk. Goodness me, Uncle Shams. She runs to see if he is all right. Mr. Mulk. Oh dear, inspecting the floor. Just look at the marble tile. It's cracked in half. Mrs. Mulk. To Uncle Shams. Are you okay? Uncle Shams. Fine. That ladder is useless. The Walkman looks alarmed. I think I shall sit down for a little while. He collapses into a chair nearby and it crashes to the floor in pieces. Mr. Mulk, whispering to his wife, I expect this is just the beginning. Uncle Shams is helped to his feet. He goes to his suitcase, picks it up and heads for the door to the bedrooms. Uncle Shams, I think I shall have a wash and a rest. What time is lunch? Mrs. Mulk, very soon, uncle, very soon we shall give you a call. Uncle Shams moves to the door. On the way, he knocks over a coffee table and a vase crashes to the floor. Mr. and Mrs. Mulk look shocked. The Walkman is grinning. Scene 2. In the living room, the picture is now hanging on the wall. Uncle Shams enters and sits on the sofa. He stares at the picture critically, then gets up and adjusts it so that it is not straight. Pleased with his work, he sits down again. He looks at his watch, he yawns, then lies down. Mr. and Mrs. Mulk enter from the hall door. They cannot see Uncle Shams. Mrs. Mulk, looking at the picture and pointing, just look at that, Amir. Mr. Mulk, it was straight when he left. I shall call him back after lunch to put it right. This really is intolerable. Mrs. Mulk, and for goodness sake, don't ask your Uncle Shams to fix it. I know he means well, but the man is a walking disaster zone, a catastrophe waiting to happen, a nightmare. Uncle Shams half rises and then lies down again. Mr. Mulk, well, we shall just have to put up with him. We cannot ask him to leave, can we? Mrs. Mulk, I don't see why not. The others will be here in 3 weeks or even later. Are we going to have to tolerate his eccentricities till then? Mr. Mulk, quite what a frightening prospect. Mrs. Mulk, he eats a lot too. You will have to increase the household budget threefold and our repair bills will spiral. Judging by these disasters, he will break everything in sight. Mr. Mulk, you are right, Saima. We shall have to devise a plan to get rid of him. Let's discuss the problem after lunch, when he is taking a nap. Mrs. Mulk, the sooner the better. I shall go and see if lunch is ready. Then you can give him a call. Exit Mrs. Mulk. Mr. Mulk goes to the picture, straightens it and steps back. The picture crashes to the floor. He staggers backwards and hurriedly leaves by the hall door. Uncle Shams sits up, looks round quickly and then leaves by the other door. Scene 3. In the living room, Mr. and Mrs. Mulk enter. Mrs. Mulk looking at the picture on the floor and shaking her head. The sooner the better. Mr. Mulk going to the end of the room and shouting, Uncle Shams, lunch is served. Uncle Shams enters carrying his suitcase and looking crestfallen. Mr. Mulk, you don't have to bring your suitcase to the dining table, Uncle. Uncle Shams, I won't be staying for lunch. I'm afraid I suddenly remembered I have an appointment to keep back at home. I have decided to go immediately and return, perhaps to see Samina getting married. Mrs. Mulk, but Uncle, have some lunch first. Then go. Mr. Mulk, yes, Uncle, and why this sudden change of mind? You know you are most welcome in our house. Mrs. Mulk, but your appointment, I suppose you have to keep it. Uncle Shams, yes, I must go without delay. Thank you for the offer. I shall be in touch. Goodbye. Uncle Shams exits hurriedly. Mr. and Mrs. Mulk look pleased. yet greatly surprised. When he is gone, they begin to do a little dance round the room. The postman arrives and peers through the window, looking astounded. Mrs. Mulk notices the postman. Mr. Mulk continues to lap around Mrs. Mulk to the postman. What are you gawning at? Is this the way to deliver letters? Can't you come to the front door and ring the bell? Mr. Mulk stops dancing. And what time do you call this? You are supposed to deliver the post in the morning, not the afternoon. Postman. Sorry, sir. Sorting office problem. Sir, cycle problem. Sir, late starting problem. Sir. Mrs. Mulk, I will give you a headache problem if you come and deliver the post at the window in future. She snatches the letters from him. Mr. Mulk, now go. Come in the proper way next time. Postman, yes, sir. Mr. Mulk, looking at a letter. Oh, look, here is the letter from Uncle Shams. Mrs. Mulk, open it. What does he say? Mr. Mulk, give me a second. Opens the letter and reads. Mrs. Mulk, well, Mr. Mulk, holding his forehead and looking shocked. Oh dear, what have we done? Mrs. Mulk, what have we done? Mr. Mulk, we have driven him out, that's what. And he was here to make us very rich. He had come to give all his late wife's jewelry to our Samina for her wedding. Mrs. Mulk, oh no, taking the letter from him. Can this be true? If only we had waited a while. Mr. Mulk, it's too late now. He has gone, and so has our fortune. Samina's fortune. Enter Samina. Samina, hello mom, hello dad, what's going on? Is lunch ready? I am starving. Looking round the room. And where's Uncle Shams? Mrs. Mulk, hiding the letter behind her back. Uncle Shams? What about Uncle Shams? Mr. Mulk, why do you bring up his name? Samina, Uncle Shams was here earlier. I met him this morning when he arrived. We had a long chat at the gate. He said he had come to stay till the wedding. Where is he? Mr. Mulk, your uncle is not here. He came and he departed. He was in a hurry to go. Mrs. Mulk, yes, he had an appointment to keep. Samina, an appointment? That's strange. Muses for a while. It's all right. He will be back for lunch, I'm sure. He has a healthy aptitude, hasn't he? Mr. Mulk, your uncle won't be here for lunch or dinner. He has gone home. Samina, gone home? But he said he was going to be here till the wedding. What is going on? Mrs. Mulk, I doubt whether he will be here for the wedding either. Samina, why ever not? He seemed so happy to be here and was looking forward to the wedding. He told me so. Mrs. Mulk, well, I think he became quite upset with something we said. Mr. Mulk, and we could not keep our comments to ourselves. He must have overheard us. Samina, you mean you drove him out? Poor man. Mr. Mulk, I am afraid so. And the worst thing is, I don't know how to tell you this. He was going to leave you a small gift. Samina, a small gift? Mr. Mulk, well, quite a largish gift. Mrs. Mulk, yes, very large. He said he was going to leave you some of Auntie Mina's jewelry. Mr. Mulk, and now, of course, you won't get even a sniff of it because he has gone. Mrs. Mulk, I wonder which ring or chain he might have brought for you. Samina, you mean rings and chains and dozens of other precious pieces too? Mr. Mulk, whatever do you mean, dear? Samina, I can show you what he brought because he handed me a large box when he arrived. It is full of the most priceless pieces of jewelry you have seen in your life. Mr. and Mrs. Mulk look stunned. Curtain. Now come to the exercises. A. Comprehension. Answer the following questions. A. Which words used by Mr. and Mrs. Mulk does the workman misinterpret? How does he react? Answer. The workman misinterprets degrees. He says he does not have a degree. He then misinterprets fine and is worried he will be fined. B. In what way is Uncle Shams a walking disaster zone? What does this mean? Answer. Uncle Shams causes havoc by trying to help. The wall cracks, the ladder crashes to the floor, the hammer falls and breaks a tile, he breaks a chair, and when he is on his way out of the room, He knocks over a coffee table and breaks a vase. In no time at all, he has caused a great deal of damage. When he is around, the place becomes a disaster zone. C. What reasons does Mr. and Mrs. Mulk give for wanting to get rid of Uncle Shams? Answer. The Mulks think that Uncle Shams has eccentric ways. He has come far too early for the wedding. He eats like a horse, and the cost of keeping him will rise. He will undoubtedly break other things, and they will have to pay for the damage. It was for these reasons they wanted to get rid of Uncle Shams quickly. D. In what way is Mrs. Mulk sarcastic? Answer. When Mr. Mulk calls Uncle Shams for lunch, Mrs. Mulk sarcastically calls Uncle Shams Mr. Voracious and asks him to come and eat all the lunch and break a few plates, cups and saucers at the same time. E. Which word best describes Uncle Shams's mood when he leaves the house? Choose more than one if necessary. Answer. Aggrieved, hurt. These questions are not difficult. Discuss them first. F. Did Uncle Shams really have an appointment to keep? Answer. No, he had no appointment to keep. He departed earlier because of Mulk's sarcastic attitude towards him. G. What might have been said in the letter? Answer. Uncle Shams explained that he was there to give all his late wife's jewelry to Samina for her wedding. H. How do you think Mr. and Mrs. Mulk felt in the end? Answer. Mr. and Mrs. Mulk must have felt upset that they had not treated Uncle Shams with more tolerance because he had been so generous. 2. Answer the following questions with reference to context. A. Saima, don't confuse him with your talk of degrees and horizontal and fine and what not. 1. Who is speaking to whom? Answer. Mr. Mulk is speaking to Mrs. Mulk. 2. Who has been confused and how? Answer. The Walkman has been confused by the word degree, misinterpreted, fine misinterpreted, and horizontal probably not understood at all. 3. What happens immediately after this? Answer. Uncle Shams arrives and offers his help. B. I know he means well, but the man is a walking disaster zone. 1. Who is speaking to whom? Answer. Mrs. Mulk to Mr. Mulk. 2. Who is the speaker referring to and why? Answer. Uncle Shams. 3. What other expressions does the speaker use to describe this person? Answer. A catastrophe waiting to happen, a nightmare. B. Working with words. 1. In the play, find examples of the following. 1. Honesty. Well, I think he became quite upset with something we said, and we could not keep our comments to ourselves. He must have overheard us. B. Clumsiness. The workman who is now up the step ladder drops the hammer and gives Uncle Shams a nervous look. Uncle Shams, a large crack appears, then the ladder wobbles and he comes crashing down. C. Cheekiness. Uncle Shams, I have come to grace Samina's wedding with my presence, Mr. Mulk. You don't have to bring your suitcase to the dining table, Uncle. D. Scheming. Mr. Mulk, we shall have to devise a plan to get rid of him. E. Hesitation. Mr. Mulk, no, it's all right, Mr. Mulk. And the worst thing is, he was going to leave you a small gift. F. Confusion. Postman, sorry sir, sorting office problem. Sir, motorbike problem. Sir, late starting problem, sir. G. Misunderstanding. Walkman. Degrees, madam. I have no degree, madam. And fine, I will get a fine. H. Concealment. Mrs. Mulk. And for goodness sake, don't ask your Uncle Shams to fix it. I know he means well. Mr. Mulk. Shh, he might hear you. Mrs. Mulk. Aside. Unless you want to pack some for a snack later. Uncle Shams, I won't be staying for lunch, I am afraid. I suddenly remembered I have an appointment to keep back at home. Mrs. Mulk, hiding the letter behind her back. Uncle Shams. What about Uncle Shams? Mr. Mulk. Well, quite a largish gift. 2. Find the opposites of these words in the play. A. Crooked, straight. B. Vertical, horizontal. C. Absence, presence. D. Careless, careful. E. Enter, exit. F. Forgot, remember, worst. G. Unwelcome, welcome. H. Gradual, strange. I. Arrived, departed. 3. What are these anagrams? A. Wedding. B. Largish. C. Precious. C. Learning about language. Nouns and verbs. 1. Do you know which nouns are formed from the following verbs? Use a dictionary if you want. A. Destroy, destruction. B. Choose, choice. C. Imagine, imagination. D. Arrive, arrival. E. Compare, comparison. F. Reject, rejection. G. Avoid, avoidance. Thanks for listening. For new videos, don't forget to subscribe my channel. And if you like my videos, please share and like.